Thank you, everyone. Like Rob's mentioned, my name is Emma Antolos. I am the Invasive Species Education and Outreach Coordinator for DEC. Today I'm going to talk about Invasive Species Awareness Week. And I just wanted to mention before I start, happy Halloween. I put these silly graphics to cheer up the presentation. I know it adds a little level of excitement, I'm sure. Let's get started. This year was our 5th annual campaign, July 8th through 14th, were the dates this year. We typically host our events the 2nd week of July. So for those of you who are not familiar, Invasive Species Awareness Week is an annual campaign that encourages New Yorkers to help protect the state's lands and waters from the negative impacts of invasive species. This year's theme of the week was what you can do to stop the spread. So we were focusing on encourage people to stop the spread by taking simple actions and changing their everyday behaviors. We housed all the information, various resources, and our statewide calendar on our Invasive Species Awareness Week blog, which is www.stoptheinvasionni.com. Throughout the week, we collected data from both participants and event organizers through SurveyMonkey. We've done this a couple years now, so it's really cool to see all the data and compare it from year to year. And we had a pretty good participant feedback. We had 130 participants take the survey, as well as 83 organizers. So thank you to all who participated. This is really good information, and it's a great opportunity to highlight our successes. And I'm really excited to report that this year we had 172 events across the state. This is really exciting, 21 more events than 2017. So I like this little arrow upward trend, very exciting. So 2016, we had 120. In 2017, we had 151, and as mentioned, in 2018, 172. So this is really impressive. I mean, we're growing, exponentially. It's amazing. Just to think over a short week time span, 170 events is pretty impressive. So great work, everyone. So here's kind of an outline of who hosted how many events. So we had a great number. Western New York came in first with 36 events in their PRISM. So I just want to make a note that this is not only the PRISMs, but also other partners like New York State Parks, DEC, and other local organizations that occurred within the PRISM boundaries. So super impressive, really great work by everyone. Again, 172 crammed into 1 week is really, really neat. So county participation, this is pretty cool. We have data now over the past few years detailing what counties have participated. So yet to participate are only a handful. So Orleans, Tioga, Shenango, Lewis County, Fulton, and Columbia are the only 6 counties left that have yet to participate. So that's really amazing. We have some new counties that we included in our grand total, Allegheny, Madison, and Montgomery. So again, really impressive. And just a side note, maybe for 2019, we can really focus our efforts in getting those remaining 6 so we can tout our success of having an event since ISAW's inception in every county in every state. Every county across the state. So we had a wide array of different types of events throughout ISAW. One of the most popular ones was displays or exhibits at public events. So that meant tabling at farmers markets or different organizations. The second most popular event was actually guided hikes or paddles. I think that's probably a really well attended. People like getting outside, walking, not sitting in a presentation. So that was really great to see. Another popular event is also invasive species removal projects at 17%. Again, a lot of people probably like getting outside, doing that physical labor, getting their hands dirty. Other popular, projects that people did, webinars, IMAP invasives training, invasive plant or animal workshops, citizen science program trainings, as well as surveying and restoration projects. Other events that didn't quite make this pie graph, book displays, which is really cool, guided tours, movie screenings, teacher trainings, which is really great, as well as big conferences or summits, kind of like the one that APE hosted, their symposium. So a little bit about the survey projects that happened throughout the week. So we had roughly 8 acres surveyed, which is really cool. 15% of that data was reported into IMAP. So we have a wide array of recorded species. We have hemlock woolly adelgid, garlic mustard, Japanese barberry, honeysuckle, Japanese silkgrass, and water chestnut. I think we have Chris Williams in that photo looking at hemlocks for HWA. In terms of control and restoration projects, roughly 6 acres were controlled or restored. 30% of those efforts were reported into IMAP. And we have a cool photo down there and from LISMA for folks, it looks like pulling out terrestrial invasives at Avalon Park and Preserve. So we had a wide array of controlled species: garlic mustard, oriental bittersweet, honeysuckle, mile a minute, common and glossy buckthorn, multiflora rose, water chestnut, a more cork tree, devil's walking stick, etc., etc. So a wide array of different species, which is really cool. On the right photo there, you have folks pulling out water chestnut in the Slelo-prism. So this is a new question that we added to our survey this year. We asked the organizers of these events, how many bags worth of invasive plant material did you remove? Obviously, it's not applicable to all, but some folks reported, 25% reported they removed 6 to 10 bags, which is really impressive. And then 12.5% reported 11 to 15, and then 12.5% reported more than 15. So it's really cool. Great work, everyone. That's a lot of material. So to give you a good glimpse of when these events occurred, in the yellow there is 2017 events, and in the bluish color there it's the 2018 events. So we had a nice distribution. A lot of events seem to be popular kind of midweek, so Tuesday, Wednesday, and another popular day is Saturday, which I think is pretty interesting. But yeah, fairly well distributed throughout the week, which is nice. So seems like everyone is offering opportunities for those, across the board. If you can make a weekend event, it seems like that's popular as well as midweek. So great work. Number of participants, again, the yellow is 2017 and that bluish color is 2018. So again, pretty smaller events. So most events contain less than 10 people attending. And those larger events, we had a little less than last year. I know we had a bigger symposium last year with a lot more folks. So it's a little bit smaller than last year, but still really impressive. It's great to see how many people participated. So event duration, again, most people stuck with 1 to 3 hour events. Some had, 3 to 5, but those were 1 to 3 hours were pretty popular. Again, pretty comparable to last year. So interesting information to see. This one is really cool to see now that we have a few years data. This is participant user group affiliation. So when our participants took the surveys, they were asked what they identify with. So across the board, everyone from 2016, 2017, and 2018, we have most of hikers, which is interesting, as well as campers as in second. And then we have private landowners coming in next, and then followed by gardening enthusiasts. Again, pretty comparable. We saw quite the uptick in 2016 of hikers, but this year we kind of had an uptick in the number of recreational boaters and private landowners, which is kind of cool to see. I know there were a lot of events at various boat launches, so that could play into the reason why there was an uptick in those recreational boaters. One thing too to point out is some of these user groups were actually identified as targeted audiences we wanted to reach in our 2016 to 2021 outreach strategic plan. For instance, aquarium owners and highway personnel. So those numbers, as you can see, are pretty low. Not many aquarium owners, not many highway personnel, water gardeners are high up on that list. So that might be something that we want to explore in ISAW 2019, is really getting those targeted audiences, maybe hosting some trainings. So how did event organizers advertise? Most organizers posted their events on the ISAW calendar, which again was housed on stoptheinvasionny.com. The second most popular mode of sharing was on their personal website or organization websites. Next up was social media, and then followed by the PRISM listserv. Not super popular, radio, newspapers, or blogs. So interesting. Yeah, I'm glad to see everyone is putting all their events on the ISAW calendar. It's nice to have all those events in one place. So very cool. So comparing that, how events were advertised, to how participants actually found out about the event, this is interesting. Most folks actually heard about the event through a direct email invitation. So that one-on-one, hey, check this event out, which is interesting. And funny enough, not too many people are looking at the ISAW events calendar. They're not looking at the website, which are the two places that the event organizers advertise the most at. So it's just something to keep in mind as we move forward for ISAW 2019. Participant skill level, this is very encouraging to see. Participants were asked before the event what their knowledge level was. So they were asked various questions. So how they felt they ranked. So understanding of what an invasive species is, what their impacts are, their ability to identify a high priority invasive species in their region, understanding of a survey, management, removal projects of invasive species, and finally understanding of what actions you can take to stop the spread. So as you see in the before column, people were kind of mid-level, but after the event took place, all those same people reported that they had gained some knowledge, which is really, really encouraging. So same as last year, 2017, most participants said that they learned something, that their knowledge increased, which is really encouraging. So everyone's doing a great job. No participants seem to be leaving with less knowledge, which is, you know, good. All right, another question on that participant survey was the public's awareness of DEC's Part 576 regulations. And the Part 576 regulations, for those unfamiliar, require boaters take reasonable precautions to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species before launching a watercraft or a floating dock into public waters of the state. So pretty great to see. About 70% of those participants were aware of those regulations. About 20% were somewhat aware, and then roughly 8% have not heard about these regulations. It's really encouraging comparing this data from last year and the year previous. So in 2017, the awareness level was about 64% of people knew what these regulations were. And in 2016, it was at 50%. So we're steadily increasing, which is really encouraging. So we're doing great work, and you know, a lot of folks are familiar. So great work, everyone. So this was another interesting question we asked this year. This is a new question on our survey. So we wanted to gauge the public's awareness of biocontrol projects in New York State. So obviously most of these events are geared toward natural resource professionals. So there were some folks who were familiar with biocontrols for hemlock poliodelgid, swallowwort, purple loosestrife, water chestnut, etc. So that was really encouraging to see. But a good majority, especially of those who were not, you know, natural resource professionals, who might just be members of the public with, you know, this isn't their, you know, day job, or they're not super familiar, those kind of with no prior knowledge of invasive species, so they weren't really familiar with any biocontrol projects. And generally, there seemed to be quite a lot of confusion of what biocontrol actually means. So I got a lot of responses from folks who actually had mistaken it for spread prevention measures. So they, you know, in reply to this question of biocontrol projects, they would write, don't move firewood or clean, drain, dry, which is really interesting. So I think that's something we all want to, you know, think about moving forward, is how can we, you know, really get the public to understand what biocontrol means and really tout the good work. I mean, some of these biocontrol projects are really successful, and we want to make sure people know about it. So it's really interesting to see that kind of polarization between, you know, those natural resource professionals and just the general public, and how there's really is a gap in knowledge. So we really should be working on that. And really touting the good work that, you know, is going on right now. So we had a great campaign on social media. This is pulled from DEC's Facebook page. So we had various posts throughout the week. We reached a little less than 500,000 people with all these posts, which is really exciting. One of our most popular posts was actually the Chinese mitten crab reporting. And the second highest, I believe we have there, is bait disposal information. So really cool to see. Social media is a great tool to promote ISAW, and you know, free tool as well. It doesn't take much to put a post together, and it's easy to share information that way. So we had a very successful year once again. Here's some photos from DEC social media. So we have the Chinese mitten crab post, as well as the bait and clean, drain, dry post. So very cool. Social media on Twitter as well. We had really successful. Twitter doesn't seem to be as utilized as Facebook does. So you know, still really impressive, you know, and yeah, I'm glad to see one of the top numbers too there is volunteering with the prisms had a lot of retweets and likes, which is nice. This year, again, we utilized our hashtags. So for those familiar hashtags, you put on the end of your posts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that kind of conglomerates all the posts. If you click on that hashtag, you can see everything else that people are tagging. So it's really nice. So the TNC, the Environmental Fund, General Services, we're all using these, as well as many other partners. We're all using these hashtags. So if someone were to look up these hashtags, they would see kind of a cohesive campaign, which is really great, and seeing all the great work that everyone is doing. So definitely encourage in the future to continue using these hashtags. So this year, like previous year, we used hashtag NY Invasive Awareness and hashtag NY ISAW. Here's some numbers from the Invasive Species Awareness blog, stoptheinvasionny.com. So we had a lot of people looking at it. Those numbers increased, obviously, as ISAW got closer. So great to see people, you know, checking our page out and looking at that calendar. Another great thing I wanted to highlight was New York State Parks did this great campaign during ISAW where they highlighted different invasive species. Very cool, and we thank you guys for doing that. Turned out great. And we also had a ton of media coverage. These are all snippets of different programs and news outlets, newspapers that covered ISAW, which is really cool to see that the media is is aware of what we're doing. So it's really cool to see again, the word spread about this impressive week. Another thing, we also hosted, I believe it's the 3rd or 4th annual Invasive Species Mapping Challenge. So this was a challenge in July. I think it was a 2 or 3 week span where we held a little competition to encourage people to report both water chestnut and Asian jumping worm, which was a new addition. These are 2 underreported species. So we wanted to increase our knowledge and get people out there and reporting, whether it was present or absent. So driving that competition, we have some cool trophies for the prism leaders. So as you can see, the prisms with the most reports of water chestnut was Catmo Prism with Chris. And the jumping worm trophy, which is new this year, it's very cool, that the IMAP intern made, was awarded to Linda in the Lower Hudson Prism. And our individual winners for the most jumping worm reports were actually Joyce Tomaselli with the CCE Dutchess County Master Gardener Volunteers. So she won some cool prizes, Bringing Nature Home by Doug Calamy, the book, and some gardening supplies. And then Tyler Levy won the Water Chestnut Challenge. He had the most reports, and he won some tools to start a water chestnut pull, as well as Through the Looking Glass book, which is really neat. So great work, everyone. And here are just some quick photos from throughout the week. We had some really cool events. So Adirondack Invaders Day at the Wild Center. We had a great book display at the New York State Library. We had an aquatic plant workshop at Finger Lakes Prism. And again, some really cool events, invasive species pulls, farmers markets, some really great stuff. So we have Spot Lanternfly workshop by Heather Leach from Penn State, Empire State Plaza, farmers market, and Catmo Prism. Great work. So just quickly wrapping up here. So feedback from organizers. Most organizers were great, and they said some suggestions for next year. They would like some more interactive displays. Another bit they would like is better promotion of events. Like you said, like before showed how participants actually learned of the event was, that direct email contact. So I think most organizers are looking for better ways to promote and get the word out there. And some more feedback, people would like some more supplies, like tools for removals, bug spray, kayaks, etc. Other folks also mentioned the need for outreach materials, such as fact sheets, brochures, flyers, and samples. Another great thing we heard from folks is that giveaways were a hit. So we distributed some clean drain dry towels for all the prisms. We also created these great banners. As you can see, the folks from Slelo Prism are holding up after their water chestnut pull. So each prism got one of these great banners and can utilize it for every ISAW to come. So the public, those participants, here's some of their feedback. Most folks wanted to the events a little bit less scientific for more of a broader audience. Folks also wanted some more advertising so they can learn about the events, like TV, radio, local paper. Folks also wanted to have some more hands-on activities, really get their hands dirty. They also would like some more kids programming. And finally, this came up a couple of times, they wanted the presentations available online so they can refer back to it, which is interesting. some kind of warm and fuzzies from folks. These are really nice to hear, so I just wanted to share a tidbit. So we got some great feedback. Someone said a lot of important work was accomplished while having a good time. Another participant said, I believe it's important for me to participate to keep my community free from invasive species. I now have time to help, and I'm happy to do so. One of my favorites, I like science. It's a nice date night with my sciencey husband. So really great feedback. Overwhelmingly positive. It was really great to see, how much people enjoyed the events. And finally, do we have any questions or comments from folks? Again, super successful campaign. I am impressed with all the work that everyone's done.